what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. So guys, we announced this morning the balance changes. There was a lot of them, and you guys have a lot of opinions about it. I love reading the comments, you guys going back and forth talking about what you expected, what you didn't expect. Man, I have my own opinions too, but I'll save that for another video. But we did see a buff to Sparky. Now, is it going to be enough to make her meta or viable in the meta, or even powerful in the meta? Dare I say OP in the meta? I don't know. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but we do know that a few pro players have already been having success with Sparky. As a matter of fact, her win rates are shockingly over 50%, both on ladder and in tournament right now, just by a hair, according to statsroyale.com. So my question is will she finally be viable? And I think that there's a good chance she might be. Today, I'm going to talk about one specific deck with the help of Backstabx, who is a pro player in his own right, the manager and captain over at Hammers Esports, also a YouTuber, so check out his YouTube channel, subscribe to him after this video is done. Great content, great player. So I'm going to go ahead and show you 5 Sparky decks before we hop into the deck that we're going to be spotlighting. So these 5 Sparky decks I've actually taken from the archive, so to speak. These were decks used by pro players in the CCGS or other big tournaments. So they're not just random, except for one, the last one I share will be random that I got from TV Royale. A top 200 player using it, but it's still kind of not proven. So this is the deck used and popularized by Nemsensei in spring CCGS. If you're looking for decks, by the way, guys, this is a deck that DiegoB gave me that he's actually going to be testing out once these balance changes go live. He really likes this formation. I'm going to save 3 because that's the one that we're going to be talking about today in the video. Deck number 4, this giant skeleton Sparky graveyard deck, believe it or not, is the deck used by Berin in CCGS against Surgical Goblin that beat Surgical Goblin with this funky deck. So hey, if you're looking for something a little bit off meta, go ahead and try this. Recently buffed Graveyard as well, so it could be actually a pretty interesting deck. And the 5th deck, the one that I saw on TV Royale, is just like a really classic, free-to-play friendly, except for, of course, Sparky. It is a Sparky deck after all. It's kind of like a beatdown deck. It also has that defensive versatility of the Barbarians. It has the pump too, so it's just like a classic Sparky beatdown that we may have seen right when Sparky kind of was introduced to the game. And here's the deck that we'll be covering. We do have a legendary substitution, so don't panic. This is going to be the deck, guys. It's kind of like a Sparky Zap Bait deck. Of course, I think that bats are going to be a great combination with Sparky because it forces your opponent to maybe waste a Zap spell on the bats, and then they don't have their reset ready for Sparky. Now, she does fire after 4 seconds now instead of 5, with a little bit of a haircut on her damage per shot, but she already does a lot of damage. I want to say 1100 on tournament level standards. I'll go ahead and correct myself in the pinned comment if I'm wrong, but I think it was changed from 13 to 1100 per shot off the top of my head. Anyway, Mega Knight, if you don't have him, we can sub in the Hog Rider, and this deck kind of takes on a different type of offensive strategy, but it's still a really viable deck, and we'll go ahead and show a replay of that too at the end of today's video. So let's go ahead and hop right into the replays here. Again, I'm in a clan here with none other than Backstabx. Let's take a quick look at his profile here. Definitely a really, really good player. He won the Dueler of the Duels, what is it, the King's, not the King's Cup, but the Crown Championship that I freaking casted. So yeah, you should probably know that, Ash. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop into a replay here. Let's go into the 12th win and just see how this deck works. Now remember, the replays you're seeing right now are with the old Sparky, so hopefully this deck will be much more viable now that the new Sparky is in the game. The name of my King's Cup 2 team with Surgical Goblin and one of you guys is actually Viva La Sparky, hashtag more than a trash can on wheels. So yeah, kind of a, I don't know, original name, but at the same time, it's not too crazy there. So it kind of forces my hand to maybe play Sparky now that she might be viable. So Backstab opts to go ahead and start out with the Sparky behind the King Tower. Not a bad play, obviously. With this deck, again, we have a lot of offensive power, and then we have Sparky, kind of that big, tanky, slow-moving structure, or that's kind of insulting to her, huh? The slow-moving lady beautiful woman, and she can be a great card to play behind the King Tower. Of course, she does die to rocket still, guys. We saw that in some of the sneak peeks. That was just the developer build. What you see in the developer build, what you see on the YouTube sneak peeks isn't always necessarily what's going to happen in game. They're still kind of tweaking and testing, and sometimes the version that we get of the developer build as content creators in the NDA club isn't necessarily the final version. So they were actually, it looks like, initially going to give her also an HP buff, but upon further playing, further testing, they thought that would be like way too powerful for Sparky. So anyway, here you can see he's going up against this interesting kind of minor chip deck, basically, against the player at the top. And what we want to do at this point, just like any kind of deck, is feel out your opponent, right? So again, Sparky behind the King Tower. Let's see how he deals, or what he does with the Sparky from here. So immediately plays minions and zap on that princess and the mega minion, and now the Sparky will clear out these skeletons. Of course, she will, excuse me, Sparky, she will take one hit from that mega minion as well. So what we're gonna try to do here is kind of come really, really hard in the right lane while we defend as best as we can in the left lane. Of course, the opponent doesn't have zap, I should say, but if they did, they might have been tempted to use the zap on the bats on the left, whereas now they would have no recharge for the Sparky. So of course, Sparky does cross the bridge there. We throw a juke barrel. When I say we, I mean Backstab, able to take down that right tower. So of course, there's a lot of bait elements to this deck. We have the Goblin Barrel, we have the Sparky, we have the Mega Knight, and of course, the Mega Knight is the biggest tank that you can use to combo in this deck, to combo with the Goblin Barrel. Of course, maybe if you wanted to go classic, you don't even need to use the Hog Rider. You could just use a Giant instead of the Mega Knight. So there's a few substitutions. Backstab says he prefers to have the faster version, the Hog Rider there. So before we can get anything crazy going in the left, the match ends, and we actually can defend really well with this deck. So I think it will be pretty viable here after the balance changes. I can't wait to use a deck like this. It combines a little bit of beatdown with a little bit of bait, and it's kind of a hybrid, so I like that. So again, let's see how Backstab starts off this match. This time he's going against a Mega Knight P.E.K.K.A deck, which are still really viable in the game right now, so let's see how he deals with this one. So here comes the miner incoming, and we're just going to go ahead and stop it with the minions. You notice how he doesn't over-defend. It's going to be very cautious moving early on, into this match, then moving forward into the match will be a little bit more aggressive with what we're placing and when. So there's the tornado there. Wasn't able to activate unless I missed it. Anyway, here comes the P.E.K.K.A down the right lane. What are we going to do to defend this P.E.K.K.A? So we have Mega Knight ready. We have Sparky that we just dropped behind the King Tower. Let's see what Backstab does, guys. These are my favorite situations to see what a pro does. And you can see right now he's waiting as long as possible to drop the Goblin Gang. Don't want to give your opponent any time to make those prediction plays or to just react, basically. Not predict, react. So, unfortunately, one minion just barely left standing, but check that out. Sparky just crosses the bridge. Unfortunately, the Electro Wizard, even though he just got a decent nerf, don't scare anybody. A lot of people were unhappy, by the way, about the E-Wiz nerf. Man, I mean, I hate to be a contrarian. This time we activate the King Tower, or the opponent does. Hate to be a contrarian, but E-Wiz does have an incredibly high usage rate and an incredibly high win rate, more so than any card in the game. So I don't know, to me that spells a nerf, and it wasn't a huge one. Another minus 5% on the damage and a 2% slower first hit. So we'll see what kind of impact that has on E-Wiz. My guess is E-Wiz is still going to be pretty powerful, but even if there's just a little bit less E-Wiz out there, that's another indirect buff for Sparky, right? So here it comes again. It's going to be a Sparky and a Mega Knight combo here. Here comes the Goblin Barrel. The Tornado was able to pull Sparky out of range. However, the Goblin Barrel for Backstab does connect for a decent amount of damage there. So that was really, really good on his part. Now all he really has to do is defend. You can see the opponent here having a tough time getting something big going. We're just going to go ahead and use the fireball against that E-Wiz there, and now here comes the Mega Knight, but right before he crosses the bridge, we're going to drop a Mega Knight of our own. Again, Backstab playing very kind of reactively rather than aggressively. You like the opponent to make the decisions here, and then you can react to them and then get the strong counter push as you just saw on your screen. So that was a really good attack. By the way, a good push, excuse me, to take down that right tower. And again, both of our towers are left, you know, with definitely way more than half HP left. So it's a good defensive deck, and you always have, like, and I mentioned this in a previous video, but I love decks like this, maybe because I'm a noob, but I love decks that every card kind of has a clear purpose, all right? So with this deck, never drop the Mega Knight behind the King Tower. Drop the Sparky behind the King Tower unless your opponent has a rocket, okay? So that's always a danger. You can still give incredible value to that rocket. Well, it's obviously a 6-for-6 trade, but at the same time, the value is in all the damage they do to your tower. 493 at tournament level standard, and of course up to 717 on ladder. So let's go ahead and watch one more replay here. We just shared that. Now, something to mention here is this deck doesn't have Tornado, but a lot of the other decks that I showed you at the beginning of this video do have Tornado. Tornado, another really strong option with Sparky, guys, because of her immense splash damage. She can do a lot of damage if you're able to group up all of the opponent's troops coming your way. It's almost like, you know, a weaker version of Executioner or Baby Dragon because she doesn't target air. It's stronger in the burst, weaker in the actual fact that she can't target air. If she could target air, then forget it. Sparky would be the most OP card ever created in the game. So let's see how Backstab goes against this deck here. Actually, you know what? It's another P.E.K.K.A deck. Excuse me, guys. Let's look for a different deck, okay? So let's see. Against a... Ooh, this is a Three Musketeer deck. Okay, let's see how he handles a Three Musketeer deck against free-to-play Hyperlull. Okay, so let's see how he starts this match out. Obviously, again, he has the Goblin Barrel in his starting hand. Is he going to use it? That's my question. We'll have to see. Here he is. Goblin Barrel, obviously, just like a bait deck, a normal bait deck, that's a good starting play to kind of feel out your opponent, see what how they're going to react and what they have. If your opponent happens to make the mistake of using a zap on the Goblin Barrel, well, you're looking pretty good. If they use a log on the Goblin Barrel, well, you're looking pretty good, because odds are they might not have a zap to reset your Sparky in their deck. Being that bats are really strong, and being that E-Wiz got a little bit of a nerf, and being that Sparky got a buff, I would expect Zap to overtake Arrows and Log as the most popular cheap spell in the game again. Anyway, here comes the Three Musketeers die pretty quickly there. The Miner going to get a little bit of chip damage in for free-to-play at the top from Bros into Hood. All right, here we go. An elixir pump in the top right there. Of course, Backstab doesn't even have his fireball in hand, so no big worry there. Gonna drop a Mega Knight at the bridge here, and here comes the Goblin Gang behind, trying to punish the opponent. Spirit Goblins will be seeing a buff too, guys, so this minion would already be long dead in this Barbarian after the buff to the Spirit Gobs with a faster hit rate, and the Mega Knight does reach the tower there, and look at all this damage getting done. Meanwhile, the Bandit cleans up, but very, very late on that cleanup there. Bats, of course, are going to be able to, are going to be able to stop the Bandit, but they don't. Bandit actually goes into charge. If the Bats were placed right in the center of the lane, it would have prevented her from getting that charge off to the tower. So here comes Sparky in the back again. Backstab at this point knows the opponent does not have, you know, a rocket in the deck, it doesn't even have a lightning. In fact, doesn't have any big spell because it's a Three Musketeer deck. So here we go, Three Musketeers are split. Look at this push coming in the right. Sparky one-shots that Battle Ram. Of course, we're saving the fireball for the two Musketeers in the left. Here comes Mega Knight, a couple minions left over, and the Sparky. Is Sparky gonna get a hit off? Is she going to? No, but doesn't matter. Mega Knight gets the job done. So now with only 30 seconds left, look at this again. Barely any damage off of his Princess Towers. Backstab doing his thing, guys. Wow, what this is like, this deck is really good, guys, and with Sparky only shooting faster, like in that previous sequence there, Sparky would have got a hit off on that right tower. Of course, it didn't really matter because the tower would be gone either way, but it's kind of interesting to know that she's going to be firing. You're going to have to answer her very, very quickly. So another win for Backstab. I did promise you guys we would take a quick look at the Hog version of the deck, so let's do that right now before I let you guys go to enjoy your weekend, or if you're watching this in the future, enjoy whatever day it is. So here we go. Let's start out in double speed here, going against Paul. So, okay, we're being a little bit of a bully here, Backstab, playing a level 12. But either way, we're going to see the difference between the Hog Rider in this deck and the Mega Knight in the deck. So this would be also a more friendlier version for ladder. If your Mega Knight, maybe you only have a level 1 Mega Knight and you're high in trophies, of course, or a substitution if you don't have the Mega Knight at all. So here we go, a little bit of damage on that left tower there. Going to send in the Goblin Barrel. The Log's going to answer that. So far, not so good here for Backstab, but we're early on, only less than halfway into this match. So what's going to happen now? It's going to be Sparky in the back, I bet, and there it is. Sparky in the back. The opponent, Paul, is going to answer with Archer split in the back, and now Paul has the Max Elite Barbarians. They're going to come in the right. The bats are going to be zapped. That's not that great because we're not going to be able to cycle back to Sparky fast enough to take advantage of that. But instead, here comes the Hog Rider. Beautiful juke barrel there on the left, and we do get a little bit of damage, but we were able to just avoid that that log from countering our Goblin Barrel. So here we go again. Here comes the Hog. Here comes the Sparky. Here comes the Goblin Barrel, juked again. Are you kidding me? And more chip damage on that left tower. This time, ready for the Elite Barbarians is Backstab. He decides to put Sparky in the right lane. He defends the Elite Barbarians in the left lane. Here comes the Hog. The minion latches onto the tower. Fireball is going to finish the job. Boom! Whoa. That is an interesting deck, guys. If you want to, really quickly, before I let you go, take a look at the other decks. Here you go. Boom. Oh, Nemsensei. DiegoB. Backstabx. I'm forgetting who gave me these decks. And Berin. So try out all these decks once the balance changes go into play. Again, I don't know when the update will be, but I suspect it will be Monday or Tuesday. Usually is after we have the balance changes announced and the sneak peeks are now officially over. So guys, huge shout out to TV Royale. Huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check him out in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to Backstabx and tell him Ash sent you guys. Thanks for watching until the end of the video. It means a lot to me. Really appreciate it, guys. And as always, take care, guys.